Hey guys, Rascal here, and today I'm doing another Rascal Reviews, and I'm reviewing the Pixar film Ratatouille. And you might have remembered me and my entertainment talking about this movie already on our Paul's Animation channel. If not, please go to our channel. I'll leave a link in the description or even a card, and you can see both our channel and the video itself. We talked about this film, I believe, year before last, when we wanted to do a sort of a Pixar marathon. And I wanted to talk about this movie again on my channel. One, because I really, really love this film. And two, I think there might have been some things that I missed in our previous podcast because it had been a while since I had seen it at the time. Now, what Ratatouille is about a rat named Remy who lives in the sewers a little bit outside of Paris, France. Still in France, but live outside of Paris. Yes, I know it sounds like where is this movie going in case you haven't seen it, but I'm getting to it. He has a dream of becoming a chef. Now, unlike the other rats in his colony, for some reason, he has this sort of refined taste about him, or fine smell. He knows what pieces of food to put together that will taste good and combinations. He's sort of like the rodent version of Soma from Food Wars. He just has been somehow gifted with a sense of taste and smell that's on a level of a human. And the other rats don't seem to have that. They just kind of use him for checking the food to see if it's poisonous or not, because they take food and scraps from different houses to feed everybody. So in here, he ends up in Paris when he accidentally gets separated from his colony. And there he ends up in one of the biggest cities on Earth, and he wants to be like his hero, Chef Gusteau, who was a world-renowned chef, especially in France. And he sees as the restaurant that he had is in danger of being shut down. So he wants to try to find a way to save it because he loves the recipes, he loves the food, he loves everything about cooking. And it's there where he meets a guy named Linguini. And together, they work together at the restaurant. Linguini sort of acts like his puppet. And what he does is that he pulls on different strands of his hair, different types of his hair, and he sort of has like a puppeteer movement, like he jerks something, he'll move his arm, or his leg, or his body, or something. And it's almost like the precursor to Inside Out, that he can just control him at will. If he just feels like he just jerks it, and then it works. Now, the reason why he does that, for the obvious reason that a rat can't cook in the kitchen, because that'll just be an instant health code violation, instant shutdown, and that's the end of the movie. So for here, Linguini needs a job, so he tries to get the job at this restaurant. And Linguini can't cook to save his life, but Remy can. So they make a deal where he sits on his head and he cooks the food for him. He basically cooks through him. And by using him as the puppeteer, he can create the recipes and dishes he always wanted at the restaurant. And he wants to help it get back on its feet so it's no longer in danger of shutting down. And I like that the setup is actually pretty creative. And it has a heavy theme about following your dreams and doing what you love, even when everyone else says you can't do it. And the fact they use a creature that's not regarded at all as something good or healthy or positive. Rats are always associated with being one of the lowest creatures in the animal kingdom. They're actually even worsely treated than the raccoons. And I understand the concern about it. I understand everything concerning with the health issues concerning these animals. I'm not trying to say go pet one or anything. I completely understand, but for the sake of the movie, it really gets across its metaphor and its message where you're from this world, you're from this family, you are like this. There's no way you can possibly achieve greatness or a higher standard and be more than you can. But this little rodent here proves them wrong. And I like that was such an uplifting message told within the movie. It's pretty much considered one of Pixar's greatest films ever. And people don't really talk about it as much because, well, you also got The Incredibles, you got Monsters, Inc., you got stuff that's still going now or coming back. And that's totally fine. I love Incredibles 2. I love Monsters Inc. I love a lot of the Pixar movies. And Pixar always took that step to make more mature messages and themes in their films. Disney had one formula and Pixar had another, where it was pretty much universal. And for Ratatouille, its message was universal as well. And I really, really love this movie. It's really one of my favorite Pixar movies. Now, my mom likes it too, but I'll tell you a little bit something about that. She did enjoy the movie, but there's kind of one difference in it that she didn't care about. The fact there were a bunch of rodents on the screen, a lot of the times they're in the colonies. Now, for me, that never bothered me. They weren't real. I knew they weren't. If they were live action, I could totally see that, and I probably wouldn't want to watch it either. It'd probably be a whole different experience. But for me, they were animated. I didn't care. But if they were real, yeah, that probably would probably like not sit well with me. But she kind of wasn't a fan of when they had the scenes where all the Rowan's had to come to the kitchen and start helping them make the food towards the end of the film, and she freaked out, and she wasn't even looking at the screen before. And it was almost comedic, because it was like, well, you kind of seen worse, right? But I kind of didn't mind it, because again, I knew it was animated, and I was just kind of fascinated that all these little creatures in here were making the food in the kitchen. And no, they didn't actually really touch the food. They kind of were, they cleansed themselves, sanitized themselves, then they started preparing all the meals, and I thought that was pretty much hilarious. Even they knew you couldn't be in the kitchen without being clean. And I really just love Ratatouille. And it's happened before with certain films and shows where there's something about a film that I really absolutely love, and it can be outside of my usual favorites. Like, I adore and love superhero movies. I love sci-fi movies. I love comedic movies. I love movies that really tell a great story, whether it's part of those genres or not. But there are some things I like that are outside of my personal taste that I really end up loving. Like Mune guarding the moon, like SEAL Team, like Ratatouille, like certain games that don't even go anywhere but I really love, like Blink the Time Sweeper, Brock the Investigator, Black Sod. There's just lots of things that I sort of get attached to, and they end up being my favorites. And for some, I think they think it's kind of odd, which is fine. It's not. Ratatouille does have an audience, but it's one of those movies that didn't really get much more product after the film. Incredibles came back. Monsters Inc. came back. Some of the other Pixar stuff's coming back. Cars is coming back for some reason. So I think Ratatouille should too. And for this movie, for me, I think it really says a lot, because I have said over and over again online that I want to create my own animation company, because I have so many ideas I want to tell the world, and Ratatouille embodies that that dream of wanting to run your own business, bring your own take on a thing or a genre or a medium, whatever it is. For Remy is wanting to make delicious food that everyone will love. For me, is wanting to create animation that can be universal, that can touch everybody, that can be accessible to kids, teens, adults, or elderly. No matter your age, you should be loving animation and loving the stories. It's not just only for kids, just as cooking is not only for humans in this world. And I think that's why Ratatouille really stuck with me a lot out of all the Pixar films. I'm not saying I don't love The Incredibles. I absolutely love that. And I'm not saying I don't love some of those other Pixar films either. It's just, for some reason, Ratatouille stuck a lot with me. I still even have the video game. I never gave it away. I actually found it at a GameStop, and it was one of those used copies, and I still love the game. I still think it's hilarious. I think it's fun, even though it kind of pissed me off and I couldn't reach some of the levels. I still found it to be really fun and entertaining game. And the movie, I think, is great too. And for some reason, it just didn't really catch on like the other films. I don't expect it to make like a sequel or anything, or a spin-off TV show, but maybe some shorts, maybe a cookbook or something would be nice. Maybe to see how the events played out after the movie, or some recipes to show like there are other things besides the Ratatouille dish itself that you can make. And I'd be willing to buy that. I even want to get the art book for the movie because it has this sort of ambiance to it where it's really refined, yet it's open to everybody. It's it's a comedy, it's a drama. It's about something that should be for kids, but adults and older can relate to it. And that's really why I love Ratatouille. It is definitely one of my favorite Pixar movies, my favorite Disney movies, and one of my favorite animated movies ever. So, if you have not seen Ratatouille somehow, that's okay. You can watch it on Disney Plus or buy it on DVD. It should be pretty easy to get. I still own it myself. And if you have seen Ratatouille, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments. Is there a favorite scene you like? A favorite soundtrack or piece of music? A favorite character? Like, I know a lot of people love Anton Ego. There's even videos online that can cover way more about Ratatouille than I could both on Pause with Mama and on my own channel. There's even a whole hour-long video by Safaris Productions that I really loved of why it's Pixar's magnum opus. And I really agree with all his points. It's a fantastic film. I definitely recommend it to you, even if it's your first or next Pixar movie. Absolutely recommend it to you. Give it a watch. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.